What's going on, guys? It's Peter here, and I'm gonna start a project today that we're gonna be probably finishing up tomorrow. And what that is we're gonna try to get rid of the grinding that I'm having right now in the third, the fourth, and actually the fifth gear too. Now I haven't gone as high as getting into the sixth gear, mainly because I only drove it around for maybe 20 minutes, didn't want to grind up the gears. So what I did was looked up what I need to get, and I'm gonna list that all inside the comment section. I went ahead and got Redline gear oil, which is the best oil if you do any type of research, and that's for the transmission and the differential. So we're gonna go ahead and change those out today, and you're gonna need a 24mm socket. I did go down to Harbor Freight. They do have some Pittsburgh, they're actually impact sockets, but the only ones that I could find where they had a 24mm. 14 bucks for the set there. I also got myself a breaker bar, and last night I went ahead and drove it up on the onto the ramps here, put some jack stands up under there, and then we chalk the back of the wheels here so we are completely safe. I'm gonna grab myself some gloves. I've got the this blanket I picked up from Harbor Freight. I'm gonna slide up under there. I started to look under there. I see exactly what we need to do, and I'm going to show you guys that. There's two 24mm bolts. We're going to start with the transmission, and there are some washers on there that you're going to have to change. Now, typically you're going to go to Mazda and get these washers, but I believe Pep Boys has them. I want to get the bolts out, check the washers. I'm most likely going to change them no matter what, but I think Pep Boys will have those in stock. They have a very nice bolt, nut, and washer section where I live. It's a very big Pep Boys. So I'm going to head down there and see if they have that, and I'll fill you guys in. If they don't have it, I'll probably head down to the Mazda dealership that's right down the road from there. But we're going to go ahead and get started on this. Hopefully we're able to fix that grind. Now, just so you guys know, I might buy, into the same video, we're also slave cylinder is going to be changed, because the mechanic Miguel that went ahead and changed out the added the transmission and the motor for me over in Kissimmee, Florida, which if you haven't watched that last video, go check that out, because the guy did a magnificent job on putting the motor in for me. Also rebuilds motors, and is highly recommended by me and many others. But he told me the slave cylinder might be going because he was having issues getting it fully adjusted. He said it wasn't getting the pressure that he is used to. So even if it's not going, even if it's not gone, it could still be going. So I went ahead and ordered that, and it'll be here tomorrow as well. But to start off, you're gonna have to come down on the driver's side, and let me go ahead and get up under here now and show you guys where we're gonna be taking these bolts off. Make sure you have a good oil pan or something to drop your fluids down into. And then there's actually some spider webs up here. It's kind of funny because the car sat for a while. You've got your first bolt right there. Hopefully I'm able to focus on it. That's your main drain, and then right above it there, they're both 24mm. That is going to be your filler. You want to take the filler off first using your breaker bar, and the reason why is because if you start taking this one off first, let me see if I can get rid of the spider webs real quick. Let me see in there. So if you take that one off first, what's going to happen is if you attempt to take off the top one, it's going to be pouring all over you. So you want to loosen that top one up, take the bottom one off, and then remove that top one so you get better airflow. I'm going to go ahead and do that. I'm not even going to videotape that, and if you guys need any references on that, that's where that is. Driver's side, come right up under, right in between, probably the middle of the door, and you're going to see that straight on. You're going to see that bolt, and right above it, a little to the left, is the filler bolt. So I'm going to go ahead and get started on that now and come back and show you guys what I've seen. Hey guys, so the bolts are out. Good news and bad news. Good news is the washers look brand new. So this possibly, somebody could have changed those out very recently. And if I take those off, you can see they're not worn at all, the washers. So we'll clean that one down. Bad news is there's a fair amount of metal built up on the end of this cap here. You can see, which is from the grinding of the gears. So we're gonna go ahead and clean that off. And just as I suspected, barely any fluid came out of there. So unfortunately, I think what might have happened was Miguel might have thought that the transmission was filled with fluid. I was hoping that he would have checked that. Once again, I didn't pay much for it. I did not pay for fluid to be added to the transmission. And he most likely did not add any, or he added a very small amount. But the good news is the car has not been driven more than maybe 15-20 miles with the low fluid in there. I'm actually going to go ahead and pour that into a container so I can see exactly how much fluid came out, because I did come from underneath the car after I pulled both plugs, but not much was flowing. Let me go ahead and do that now and I'll show you guys. Alright guys, so just as I suspected, there was barely any fluid in there. After getting the container here dumped into a cup, this is a 12-ounce cup. Now also there might have been a little residual from my neighbor changing out his radiator fluid. We did empty that out, but we didn't tilt it way upside down. I did to get the fluid out, so maybe 10 ounces of fluid. Keep in mind, we're going to be adding back in about 60 ounces of fluid to get this transmission running properly. So good news and bad news. Good news is we were getting grinding in those upper gears, which is very, very common with low fluid. So being that the transmission that Miguel added for me, I'm a little upset that he didn't add any fluid, but I did not pay him to do that. So, and I'm sure that he probably just forgot. And when he added the transmission, we were in a rush when I got there to get the car on the tow truck, and he might have gotten sidetracked because he finished it up late the day before, and then I called him that morning and said I'd be heading up, and we kind of wrapped everything up very quickly when I got there. So still, he did an amazing job. Got the transmission up in there. I was able to test drive the car. It ran great through first and second gear. And I'm very excited to get this fluid in there. Unfortunately, it's not going to be tonight, but you guys will get to see it in this video. One thing I did want to point out is I forgot to mention earlier that the bottom bolt, the one that you take out as the bolt for emptying out the fluid, has a magnet on here specifically to catch those shavings. I know I mentioned that it could be bad if you have metal around this, but what I failed to mention is if it's fine shavings, that's very common. It's the thick chunks, which we did not have, that you do not want. That could be damage to your transmission, pieces of the your gears and everything falling off onto here. So good news is we only drove maybe 20 miles with the low fluid. This transmission was pulled and sat for a while, probably lost almost all its fluid. Miguel probably added it up in there. We got talking, we never got around to adding the fluid, and it was not invoiced to me, so I'm not upset about that. Now, these washers, like I said earlier, are very good. They look pretty brand new, so we're gonna go ahead and reuse those because they're basically brand new looking. Clean down these bolts, very good. Your drain plug is the one that you wanna put back in now. After everything drains out, you're gonna wanna go ahead and clean off the area up in there that the bolts came out of and all on the bottom. That's just good practice so that you don't have burning oils and just nasty gunky stuff all up underneath your car. You can see this car's in very good shape. It is a Florida vehicle. There's no rust. There's even the undercoating still on here. Very, very good. So I'm very happy with that. I do have a small oil leak up front, and I think we're going to be able to fix that in a later video. I'm going to go ahead and clean this all up, get my bottom bolt on there, and we're going to leave. I know I mentioned earlier I might be doing the slave cylinder and the differential. That's going to be different videos. I don't want to run this video super long, and I wanted to fill you guys in on that. So stay tuned. The fluid should be here. You're going to see it on this video. We're going to go ahead and get that filled up in there and test drive the car. Alrighty guys, so we're going to be able to go ahead and finish off this project today. We got our Redline MT90 gear oil, which is going to be for our transmission. And we're going to be putting approximately 60 ounces or 1.75 liters. And I went ahead and measured out this container that I'm going to fill it into. And then I have my Gatorade bottle with my pump from Harbor Freight, which is the gear oil and fluid pump. It seems like a pretty high quality one, definitely recommend it. I was able to cut, it came with two hoses, one long, one short. I was able to cut the longer one to kind of fit perfectly in this Gatorade bottle, which will allow me to get up underneath the car and pump that in. So let's go ahead and get started on pumping that in. As you can see, this pump works very nicely. And basically it comes with a nice little attachment that goes right up into, I don't know if I can get the right angle, I don't know if you can see it, but it's going to be right up into that filler one that we took out, the upper bolt that we took out. It's going to go right up into there, and it's going to pump right up into there. And really all you do is just pump it, and it goes pretty quickly. So we're going to be refilling this and pumping it. All right, I'll come back when it's filled. So changing out the gear oil made a big difference on shifting first and second. Fifth gear grind is gone as well. Obviously it needed to be done. There was almost no lubrication in the transmission, but unfortunately third and fourth are still grinding. I'm still hoping that it's not the synchros, and if it is, it'll be time to probably change out the transmission. But I've got it over at velocity. We're going to try one more thing, and that is putting in the slave cylinder. So I'm going to go ahead and do that. Just wanted to fill you guys in. The car is over at velocity now, and I'll be doing an update video on that as well. Thanks, guys. Have a great day. Thanks for checking in, subscribing, and watching.